Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Okay, I want to speak about insulin spikes. I can personally attest to the fact that I've gone through that myself, where I wish I had known this before. So insulin spikes that affect your life is that, you eat something and suddenly you have a migraine headache, or what they call a carb coma, but I call it the insulin coma, where you suddenly just can't function, your eyes are heavy, and you just cannot, you're just almost like in this comatose state of not being able to move. Also too, it can also cause heart palpitations, blood pressure for some. So insulin spikes it's not a good thing to have, essentially. And all of us are at different chapters in our lives when it comes to what we're eating. So we all know we should have insulin balancing foods if you are that insulin resistant and also to that affected by insulin spikes. So so two things that you could choose from. Inositol before, half an hour before you eat anything, especially a food or foods that spike your insulin, that you get a migraine after eating. Also too, you have to also understand how you're eating in the day. So let me just backtrack. First, let me say what are those two things you can choose from. Inositol, like I said, 30 minutes before the meal, or apple cider vinegar, 30 minutes before the meal. So that should assist with insulin reducing or stabilizing of once you intake the food. I noticed, and this is also tied to now intermittent fasting, many of you may skip meals, many of you may have not eaten for a few hours and so forth, and then you go and you stuff your face. That too can cause the migraine. And as I look back on my own migraine experience and so forth, was that I was snacking on high insulin foods, so it could be fruits, granola bars, whatever it is, and not eating for several hours, and then eating something really high carb and a big meal, which would make sense why I'm like feeling sick and all that. So intermittent fasting is the same thing. Anytime you introduce food, you spike insulin, whether it's protein or carbohydrates. You are spiking insulin. So now for intermittent fasting, you're more at a sensitive state because you haven't eaten for so many hours. You intake water, hopefully with some sodium and black coffee or tea, but suddenly there's nothing coming into your system. So suddenly when you have your first bite, your insulin is going to definitely spike because it's looking for that. So my recommendation is that before you even have that first bite of a very small snack, I should say, have inositol or have apple cider vinegar before. Then you break your fast or open your fast, and you have, let's say, 4 or 5 bites of something, fat and protein only, and then wait 20 minutes to 30 minutes and then have your meal. This is going to assist with that insulin surge that may cause you to have a migraine or a headache or making you fall asleep, which some of you have commented and spoken about. Also too, make sure that you are fasting that is healthy for you. Start small, start with 12 hours and increase it. I always say just go up to 16 for a little bit and see how your system is, especially for those who are insulin resistant, and then slowly work it up. Maybe do every other day fasting. Do what is making sense for you. Intermittent fasting is a double-edged sword. It can affect hormones in women. So just be mindful of what your body is saying and doing, and follow that. So yeah, that's basically it. So with just regular eating, and of course we all know we should be on a very insulin-friendly diet, especially for those who are insulin resistant. For those who are not, but would like to have a healthy, stabilized insulin for avoiding future diabetes or whatever, just make sure your diet is eventually going to be insulin friendly. That's for everybody. But for those of you who are still challenged or still are struggling with that change, and I went through that myself, the struggle of change, and the sugar detox and all this stuff, inositol and apple cider vinegar are going to be your best friends, and lots of water. Hopefully this helps. Any questions or comments, let me know. All right, take care. Bye.